Good evening, esteemed viewers. Yesterday, an unusual and noteworthy event occurred that surprisingly received little attention from the media. President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi dispatched handwritten letters to several Arab nations, a gesture that underscores the gravity and confidentiality of the message conveyed. These letters, personally penned by President El-Sisi, were delivered by high-ranking officials, either Egypt's foreign minister or ambassadors, directly to the kings, presidents, or senior diplomats of the recipient countries. This method of delivery highlights the significance of the message, ensuring it reached only trusted individuals within both Egypt and the recipient nations. Notably, the letters were not transmitted through traditional diplomatic channels, but were direct communications from the Egyptian president to the leaders of these countries. For instance, letters were sent to King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, indicating the importance of the message. What adds to the intrigue is the silence that followed. None of the recipient countries publicly disclosed the contents of the letters. With the exception of Qatar, the Qatari government stated that the letter aimed to strengthen bilateral relations. However, given the context and the manner of delivery, it's plausible that the letters addressed more pressing and sensitive matters. Coinciding with the dispatch of these letters was a significant diplomatic incident. A delegation of Arab foreign ministers, including those from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and the UAE, planned a visit to the West Bank to meet with Palestinian Authority officials. Despite prior coordination, Israel denied them entry, citing security concerns. This move was widely condemned by the Arab League and various international entities as a blatant violation of diplomatic norms and an impediment to peace efforts. The timing of President El-Sisi's letters suggests a connection to this incident. It's conceivable that the letters addressed the challenges faced by Arab nations in engaging with the Palestinian territories and the broader implications for regional stability. Furthermore, Israel's recent announcement of plans to construct 22 new settlements in the West Bank has exacerbated tensions. Such actions are viewed by many as attempts to undermine the prospect of a two-state solution and further complicate the path to peace. In a related development, Hamas has responded to a new ceasefire proposal mediated by the United States. While expressing willingness under certain conditions, including a full Israeli withdrawal and increased humanitarian aid, Hamas's response has been deemed totally unacceptable by U.S. officials. Israel, on the other hand, has conditionally accepted the terms, but insists that military operations will continue until Hamas is defeated. These unfolding events underscore the complexity and volatility of the current geopolitical landscape in the Middle East. The convergence of diplomatic tensions, settlement expansions, and ongoing conflicts necessitates vigilant observation and concerted efforts towards sustainable peace. Thank you for tuning in. We will continue to monitor these developments and provide updates as they arise. Personally, I have not seen the letter written by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi, but I strongly believe the message he intended to convey to Arab nations was very clear. Palestine is disappearing. The state of Palestine is vanishing. Forget about the displacement plans Israel is allegedly orchestrating across Arab countries. This is deeper. I'm telling you, the Palestinian state is essentially no longer in existence. What we are witnessing is a new catastrophe, a military, diplomatic, and economic catastrophe. For example, Israel has recently halted the transfer of funds to the Palestinian Authority, further worsening the humanitarian conditions in the West Bank. Gaza, on the other hand, is facing an absolute humanitarian disaster. Gaza is now one of the most hunger-stricken regions in the entire world. Can you imagine? Before October 7th, before Operation Al-Aqsa flood, Gaza was already considered one of the most densely populated areas on the planet. It was difficult enough for people to survive in that tight space. Now, Israel reportedly plans to occupy 75% of the Gaza Strip, leaving only 25% for the Palestinians to live in. The same population that couldn't previously manage to live in 100% of the land. Now here's a critical point. The Financial Times asked a vital question today. Why is President Biden not saying anything? When will Donald Trump wake up and admit that what Netanyahu is doing is wrong? The truth is, Trump will never say that Netanyahu is wrong, because Netanyahu is doing everything Trump ever wanted. Asking America to condemn Israel is like asking a father to testify against his son. It's just not going to happen. There's even a former U.S. ambassador to Israel who said Trump could stop what's happening in Gaza with a single tweet, but he didn't. He hasn't objected, hasn't criticized Netanyahu, nothing. Instead, he keeps proposing vague deals to Hamas and Israel without actually applying any pressure. Even Israeli commentators themselves are saying Netanyahu isn't facing any real pressure. So we are witnessing a catastrophic plan unfold, a plan that, whether by coincidence or design, is being executed with American involvement. American companies are the ones distributing aid in Gaza, and that's no accident. The goal is to draw Palestinians closer to the Egyptian border, all while Israel continues its operations freely and without accountability. French President Emmanuel Macron even warned that if Israel doesn't respond to the humanitarian crisis, Europe may have to reconsider its position and impose sanctions. France, Italy, and Spain have summoned Israeli ambassadors, demanding official explanations after Israeli forces fired at a European diplomatic delegation. Visiting Jenin, Macron emphasized the need for a unified European stance and that actions must reflect the urgency of the situation. Despite these warnings, nothing concrete is being done, not because Europe fears Israel, but because they fear the United States' reaction. Trump made it very clear when he stood beside Netanyahu and unveiled a plan for Palestinians to be relocated to Sinai or Jordan. Netanyahu is merely executing that plan, a plan written and handed to him by Trump himself. This is not fiction. Arab leaders are now starting to realize that Palestine is being erased. No West Bank, no Gaza. Both are being wiped out. And today, Hamas has responded to a ceasefire proposal from U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff, a plan that's been on the table for over a month. Under the proposal, Hamas would release 10 live hostages and 1 body. 5 would be released on the first day, and the remaining 5 on the 7th day, followed by the release of 18 bodies. Hamas has reportedly accepted the offer, but with conditions, namely, to spread out the hostage handover over 60 days to ensure Israel upholds a long ceasefire. Hamas insists on breaking the handover into stages, 1 batch on day 1, another on day 7, then more on day 30 and day 60. According to Al Arabiya sources, Hamas wants to release the bodies over 3 stages as well, starting on day 10 and ending by day 50. The goal? To guarantee that Israel maintains the ceasefire for at least 2 months. Why this strategy? Because there is zero American guarantee that Israel will respect the truce or even negotiate toward ending the war. Hamas wants to bind Israel to the timeline. If the ceasefire ends abruptly and fighting resumes, at least they won't have released all the hostages at once. Before replying to mediators, Hamas consulted most Palestinian factions. This was a calculated and smart move. The Palestinians have been betrayed by Israel time and time again, and they know better than to trust empty promises. Remember this name, Ahmed al-Shara. He handed over the archive of the Israeli spy Eli Cohen to Israel as a goodwill gesture. Since then, Israeli media has been celebrating this by publicly sharing Cohen's documents and belongings, even building a museum in his honor. Yet just days later, Israel bombed Syria again, killing a Syrian citizen in a new airstrike. The betrayal by Israel is a clear warning to Hamas. That's why Hamas says, yes, we'll hand over 10 hostages, but over 60 days. This way they guarantee a period of reduced hostilities and create room for negotiation. As of this moment, everything suggests that Israel will reject the offer. I'm not sure what will happen tomorrow or during the broadcast of this report, but it's likely Netanyahu's government won't accept. In conclusion, I hope I've explained this issue clearly. May Egypt and Palestine find strength in these difficult times. Long live Egypt. Peace.